Next slide. In 2020, the Canton of Sarajevo and the City of Sarajevo adopted their first urban mobility plan, SAMP. Our vision is Sarajevo, a city open to innovation in sustainable urban mobility, a place of safe and comfortable living, clean air, and provides all its citizens with various mobility opportunities, accessible and affordable zero and low emission public transport, and wide opportunities for intensive development for non-motorized movement. Next slide. Together with the city of Sarajevo and local municipalities, we have implemented or are implementing a very important project, the pre-war cable car Sarajevska Žičara, which connecting the old part of the city with the nearby mountain Trebević was reconstructed. The sloping elevator in the municipality of Centar was reconstructed and additionally upgraded. We invest in public transport through purchase of the new trams and trolleybuses. Next slide. We are working on reconstruction of the existing main tram lines. We have built 16 kilometers of new bike paths. Sharing bike and e-scooter projects are developed through private initiative. We have built bicycle parking and many other projects. Next slide. The project which we want to present today is Wilson's Promenade, the most popular promenade in the city of Sarajevo, which stretches along the Miljanska River. On both sides of the promenade, dense rows of 580 linden trees were planted at the beginning of the 20th century, which make this promenade a green oasis in the middle of Sarajevo. Next slide. The promenade was during Austria-Hungary rule, and its first name was Calais Promenade. After the end of the First World War, promenade was named Wilson's Promenade. Next slide, please. After US President Thomas Woodrow Wilson, who is in 1970 declared war on Central Powers, which was turning point in World War I. The promenade was also called Mussolini Promenade in Nazi occupation and Socialist Youth Promenade in Socialist Yugoslavia. The name Wilson's Promenade was returned to this attractive promenade in 1993 after restoration of the independence of the state of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Next slide, please. From the beginning of the motorization and construction of the modern roads, the promenade was used as a two-lane roads for the motor vehicles. Next slide. Since the 2005, the traffic that leads to promenade is prohibited for motor vehicles every working days after 5 p.m. and on weekends and holidays all days. Next slide. In 2018, one traffic lane was changed to bicycle lane. The bike path can be used in both directions. The popularization of cycling in our city is currently reflected in a growing number of cyclists who use this means of transport not only for recreationally, but also for transport purpose. Please, next slide. Last year, during Urban Mobility Week, we restricted motor vehicles traffic for a full week and conducted a research of traffic diversion to other roads and assessed the impact of the road closer on the traffic flow. Next slide. We intend to close completely Wilson's Promenade for motor vehicles. The project that is connected to our plan with Wilson's Promenade is extension of the city's south longitudinal from 2 to 4 lane, which is already in construction. Next slide. The project will allow us to completely close Wilson's Promenade because the road is parallel to this longitudinal. Trolleybus traffic takes place on this road, and we expect the acceleration of the public city transport in this part of the city. After the completion of the expansion of the complete city longitudinal, we have another road reallocation because it is planned to establish a priority lane for public transport vehicles. Next slide, please. We hope that very soon we will have opportunity to present this important project from urban mobility to other cities. And last slide. This is all for me now. If you have a question, I will answer them for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emir. Very, very interesting project. And I will now try again to go to Bratislava with Veronica. And Veronica, please unmute yourself. And then we will do a round of questions, and we would like to invite all the people that are in the room with us to share their story and experiences on road space reallocations also from their city. But first of all, let me try and go to the beginning of the presentation. Veronica, can you unmute yourself? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me well?
Perfect, yes.
Okay.
Okay, I will go back to the beginning of the presentation and give you the floor.
Could I then take control of presentation?
Yes, let me arrive at the beginning and then you can take control. Okay, here you go.
Okay, I will try to take control. So
you have it?
I have it, probably.
Perfect.
Okay, so hello again. I am Veronika Wojtekova, and I will present you a project of Vivid Square, which is a project about transforming public space in central part of Bratislava next to historical center. So this project began in context of neglected public space, because city didn't have any long-term vision how to change or develop public spaces in general. So usually their function were reduced only as a transition area. So just for you to have an idea what I'm talking about, it's this space from here, which coming down here. In the past, it was a marketplace, and the main problems we dealt with were uncontrolled parking, then a lot of visual smog and a lot of barriers in this area. Okay, so yes, and I wanted to say as well that it's also a very politically important place, because a lot of public gatherings or protests are held there a lot of times. So this project have three main parts. First, data collection and analysis, which continue to quick wins, which are very cheap, fast, and effective solutions, which could help us to improve condition of public space before the architectural competition could be realized or the result of this competition could be built. And what's also interesting about the project is that it starts in form of bottom up. So the group of activists start with this first part, and later, with changing political situation in Bratislava in 2019, a new organization starts, new city organization, which is called Metropolitan Institute of Bratislava, in which also I am currently working in, and we took leadership of these two parts. Okay, so first part is about collection and analysis data. Also, we made a lot of different kinds of participation, and we looked at, for example, functions of buildings and their opening hours, also in mobility, public lighting, as well as different kinds and form of participation. Also, what was very important for us was to understand the evolution of this area. So historical research was essential for us. For example, on this picture, you can see how The name of this square is changing during the decades, starting with basic marketplace name, and then getting more political sense in the beginning of 20th century. And also we did many others different kind of analysis. So all of this data helps us to create better architectural assignment for next competition, and also helped us to spot the best areas or places where we want to apply quick wins. So another important thing about quick wins is that it helped us to keep the idea or topic of transforming this area still alive until we can build the of competition. So what was essential for us was to give priority to pedestrians, because we find out that more than 40,000 people cross these squares during the day. So we wanna support the. And here is my favorite part. It's like before and after photos. So as you can see here, before, a lot of parking spots in here, which we reduced and gave this space to pedestrians. Same situation in this street. So before and after, we also add some greenery in here. And also we open the entrance from this street to city core. Another important topic was visual smog. So we start with 61 different types of objects, like, for example, columns, different benches or trash cans, and we reduce them just to 17 elements. So here you can see the results after cleaning. And also another quick win, which is also related to the previous part, is that we find out a lot of different kind of benches are in this area, which also sometimes acts like a barrier in some cases. So we wanna improve the situation, and we propose the project Sit Down, and it's project of free and flexible seating, which starts in this area, in the central part of Bratislava, but now it's spreading also to some other parts. So we are really happy about this. Yes, and also some very important topic which came out from participation was safety, because a lot of people didn't feel safe in some areas. So we choose to look at this problem from some different angles. For example, the first was to bring life to this area, for example, through this free sitting I mentioned before. And the second part was to move the mental barrier of mental boundary of some institution from inside of building outside to public space, like in this case of Kunsthalle. Before and after we clean and open the space. Also, sometimes very easy technical solution can improve situation a lot. And also by adding some temporary lighting, people feel a lot of safer in the area. And the last part of this quick win section is creating local administration, which is a small organization which connects local stakeholders in this area. Also receives any submission or reports, and do small operative works, like, for example, repairing broken lamps and so on. And the last part is architectural competition. So this competition should bring more deeper and more complex long-term solution to this area. So now we are in the last stage of this competition, and we expect results in January. And we choose a specific form, which is not very popular in Slovak Republic, and it's named competitive dialogue. This competitive dialogue, unlike the traditional competition, allows us to add some additional steps between the beginning and the end of this whole process, like for example, conference or some workshops. And on these workshops, you can invite selected architectural teams, you can invite local stakeholders as well as some professionals to discuss their proposals, and this process of discussion should help bring the better solution of this area or any other area. So as of course for many others, also for us, this Corona era complicated a lot. Before we planned big meetings in Bratislava with a lot of people, but we were forced to move some parts online. But this has also, I would say, good part, because we captured a few parts of this process and we put it on this web page, which is like free translation of Vivid Square to Slovak language. So if you are interested more in this project of competitive dialogue or in project of quick wins, you can check this web page, and it has also English version. So it's everything from me, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Veronica. Great project and great initiative. I can mention that in the e-publication, in the section of Bratislava, you have a video explaining everything that Veronica just said, and you can see all the locations in the video as well. And the same for Sarajevo. The video that you will see in the Sarajevo section of the e-publication will bring you straight to the promenade. So I invite you to check that maybe after the meeting today. But now for the discussion, first of all, are there any questions or any intervention that you would like to make concerning the two projects that were presented here? Feel free to raise your hand and unmute yourself or write them in the chat. In the meantime, I will go towards the end of the presentation. So here we are. This is supposed to be a dynamic breakout room. I would ask you to feel free to intervene and your comments and ideas, as we were now in a meeting room together with Veronica in Bratislava, or in a meeting room together with Emir in Sarajevo. This is a bit the idea of this peer learning exchange. So maybe I can ask all the participants in the room, have you experienced after the COVID or during the COVID pandemic with space reallocation in your cities? What are the challenges that are you facing? What do you have any success story that you want to share with us today? Please tell us the stories of your cities. How did you manage with road space reallocation? Yes, we are here to have a discussion. We have a good half an hour to talk to each other. So please raise your hand and unmute yourself. I will give you a couple of seconds to think if someone wants to be the brave one that starts the discussion. Don't make me start calling names. I know some of you in the room, so I will ask some of you to tell us more if I don't see any volunteer. Emir. Anna.
I'm here. I just
Yes.
read the question.
I see Reka from Szeged wrote in the chat. So Sarajevo's example of freeing up this beautiful promenade and giving it back to people for active leisure time and transport is amazing. So Reka, since you are here with us, why don't you tell us a bit more about what you did in Szeged in the quay?
Hello, everybody. This was particularly interesting for me, the thing that Amira told us in Sarajevo, because this is kind of similar to what we are trying to do with the quay, also stretching along the river Tisa. And it is really interesting to see that how you did this like gradually with first testing during the mobility week, and kind of experimented with it, and so how this changes the overall traffic flow of the city. And this is kind of very similar to what we did this summer with the river quay, really. So, and I'm really glad that this works, because I know that Sarajevo is a beautiful. So yeah, it's very good to see it.
Thank you, Reka. And indeed, so Szeged is one of the cities that is featured in the e-publication, and they also have took measure this summer, as Reka was mentioning, to reallocate the quay next to the river for leisure time, and to allow people to walk and cycle there. So this is also the measure in one of the section of the e-publication. So let's see, someone else that want to tell us something about your city. How are you redistributing space?
Hi, this is VK Gahlot.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Yeah, same here. I'm from Bikaner, Rajasthan, India.
Okay, from outside Europe. Nice to have you here.
Same here. It's a great opportunity to interact with you all. This is the time of crisis. We have great learning from with each other. And talking to COVID time, especially, we have very tough time, but it's a great lesson for all. We have really learned the importance of the public spaces around us and how they are important to us, and how we can improve these spaces for the individual life.
Indeed.
And what we have, yes, pardon?
No, please go ahead.
So we have great learning, and now the mindset have changed of the planners. Now they are looking for the open space around the residential areas, commercial areas, to develop as a leisure space and recreational space. And recently in our local authority, they have planned a 2-kilometer cycle track around university, where people can bicycle in leisure time, in morning and evening. And near future will try to expand the network of bicycling, so people can bicycle to their daily work. So this time people are definitely coming to active mode, and the common man mindset has changed dramatically after the COVID.
Yes, indeed. We have seen the same in many cities in Europe, and we have seen a lot of tactical urbanism, which is what Veronica was showing us with the quick wins. And I think we are experiencing a lot of this quick solution that without a huge investment, they can bring a lot of change to a place. And then it can be a transition phase, like they are doing in Bratislava, in which you first experiment with the reallocation of space, and then you do a competitive process to allocate the fund to put in place the permanent measures. So I find tactical urbanism one of the most fascinating part of urban planning. So I don't know if there is someone else in the room that has seen this improvement or has worked on this improvement in their city. Maybe, I don't know, Janne from Helsinki, you will be speaking in the second session, I know, but maybe you want to tell us some news from Helsinki. Have you experimented with tactical urbanism as well?
Yeah, hello, it's Janne from Helsinki. I think we have had some experiments with converting some of the streets to pedestrian streets and squares already earlier before COVID-19. Personally, I haven't been involved in those, so I cannot really tell the details about them. I know that there was one section of a street next to the seashore that was transformed into bike lanes during the COVID experiment, during the COVID times, and that was a temporary experiment, and it has stopped already. I don't know if there are any results available in that specific case. I think the location probably wasn't the best. That's my personal opinion, that it wasn't the best, because it wasn't really I think that was a location where there was already quite a lot of space for cyclists and pedestrians. So getting like the real learnings or results from that, I would say, well, again, I don't know the case in detail, but I would imagine that in a more busy location with more car traffic, you would get more, let's say, better evaluation of the impact. So actually, I would turn this the other way around. If you are aware of any cities that have done this in a massive and successful way, I would be very pleased to hear. I've heard something about Milan and Paris, but maybe some others as well.
I think maybe Veronica, do you have data already on the changes that you made to the area? Have you conducted some survey, or have you seen a change in the way people use the space that is impacting air quality or other elements, for example?
Yes, actually, we saw a lot of changes because people started to use this space differently, mostly because of this free sitting. We tried to test it in different parts of this area, and people enjoyed it. And now it's more, living space. Maybe it would be better if I show you photos, but it's not possible now.
I can go back to them. Wait. Which photo would you like me to put on?
Maybe the sitting. Okay, maybe this is also good, because this is the small place in front of building of old market hall. Before it was like empty building, but this group of activists who became this project later in this public space started actually with this building and live to this building, and then it expanded to this public space, and also by adding some sitting around these trees, as you can see, because of adding just a little greenery and some small mobiliar. It helped a lot, because now it's a very popular place, mostly for hipsters. to intermediate time.
It's look like an hipster place indeed.
Yes, it is.
Well, this is one of my favorite. I mean, if you see the before and after, I mean, it's transformation, and it's in front of this gallery museum. So they are using the space that was for car for art, and I think it's one of the most amazing change you can do in any place. And just with some painting on the floor and the art installation from the gallery, you can completely make a revolution in terms of the perception of the space.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and also what was very important is to work together with this local institution. It helped a lot because we find out a lot of people want to improve the condition of this public space. So when you bring more interesting people, it helps a lot to create
Indeed.
something good.
And maybe since we are talking about stakeholder participation and how to involve the citizens and the other organizations that are around the space, Emir, would you like to tell us how did you integrate this aspect in the Mobility Week? And if you also had surveys, or if you asked the people there what they were thinking about the measure, how did the campaign for the European Mobility Week go in Sarajevo?
Yes, I will try to explain about what's the conclusion of our research. You know, people look different on this measure. You know, people who use motor vehicles, they don't like this type of the measure. But people who live very close to Wilson's Promenade, they support all this action, and they try to push to implementation of this measure to close completely this promenade. Also, we are work on many other project which is connected. You know, we are adopt this year our SAMP, and Sarajevo is central oriented city, and you know, public transport for us is very, very important because some combination of the public transport and non-motorized modes of transport can help us to reduce the number of the motor vehicles in use. We don't have such a big congestion in the city center, but in peak hours have some congestion. You know, I have also here one question from Celia, and I just answer on that question. We are try to invest in public transport and in the non-motorized movement to try to achieve this goal to reduce the number of the car in the use. This street usually use in the morning hours when the people go to your jobs, and maybe we will try to we will try to not maybe in the first moment to close completely, but to reduce the time when people can use motor vehicles. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. You can see we are start 2005. Mm-hmm. Some idea about you know changes in this street, but have some you know people who think that is car you know that is car is that it's you know most important mode of transport, especially people from the planning institution and something like that. But we are fight to implement this project, and I hope so very soon. In next 2 years, when we complete the south longitudinal, I hope so that we will finish our goals, and we will close completely this street.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you, Amir. Thanks a lot. So I see you were referring to the question Kali wrote in the chat on the phased approach, and Kali is also asking what other intervention did you implement to increase model change and communication with the public. So that's what you were referring to. I don't know if maybe Veronica as well, you can tell us a bit more. Did you also have communication campaigns, and how did you go about to promote the changes that you made and further increase the modal shift in the use of the area?
So of course we try to communicate the best way we know. So, but sometimes a few decisions aren't very popular. Like, for example, removing these parking spots. For some people, yes, they weren't very pleased about this. But we needed to communicate, for example, yes, actually in this picture.
The previous one?
Yes. Before we removed these parking lots, it served just for municipality during the day, but during the night it serves for public. And we decided like publicly give up these parking lots and to give this space to walking, or to pedestrians. So we try to communicate that not only you must give up something, some kind of comfort, but also we are. So maybe this was one part we try to communicate.
Mm-hmm. That is not just we take it away, but we also give you something beautiful in return, where you can walk and enjoy the trees and the area.
Yes, also this.
Okay, so we still have 10 minutes before we switch rooms. I see in the room an old friend, which is Mate from Budapest, where we also had one of the study visits of the CIVITAS peer-to-peer exchange. Mate, if you're still with us, maybe you can tell us something about Budapest and the changes you made to bike lanes in your city during the crisis.
Hello, this is Mate
Hi.
from Budapest. Hi.
Sorry for calling you in like this, but...
It's okay. So, as you mentioned, we introduced temporary bike lanes in Budapest during the pandemic times, just to help cyclists and them to move around. And we decided, or the city decided, to keep these bike lanes in many places, so they are not just temporary. And these bike lanes also went through a lot of changes. So, like this tactical urbanism, so we modified them based on the responses and feedback of the cyclists and also the car users. Mm-hmm. So finally we have multiple times modified bike lanes or solution
Based on the data that you were collecting by people using
Yeah, we also made traffic countings, but also we have difficulties with on political levels because there is not a full agreement that we should keep these bike lanes, so that's why some of them are removed, and only so not all are kept.
And I remember that some of the bike lanes that you built were part of a plan that you already had in place, and that you basically already had the routes that were gonna be built, and the pandemic just was an acceleration of that process.
Yes.
And is this confirmed in terms of your planning based on what you saw in terms of views? Was it in accordance to what you have planned, and are those the one that are staying?
Yes, there was already a lot of these routes planned already on main boulevards that we should. So there was a discussion for long that we should make some or introduce some bike lanes there, and the pandemic gave the first push, and it made it really quick. Yes, some of them are staying, so according to the plan. But yeah, the pandemic was a good starting push.
Good promoter.
Yes.
So I see. Thanks a lot, Mate. I see Kelly and Kay have their hand raised. So maybe Kelly first.
Okay, thank you to our colleagues in Bratislava and Sarajevo. Many things you said I am also working on in our city about public spaces and removing car parks and looking at road infrastructure. And I have many questions, and it was so useful to hear from you. But I wondered two things. In addition to supporting public transport and engaging with stakeholders, when you started to change either your road or public spaces, what other types of things did you do? Did you hold events or put in public art? Did you give bikes to people? You know, what else did you do? And my second question is a thing we struggle here in Belfast with is, who led this? Is there political leadership? And I hear now from Budapest, it's not easy, but how did you manage this politically? And did you have champions? And did they stand up and say, this is the right thing for the city? Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for the questions, Kelly. Maybe Veronica on, I don't know, which one of the two questions you want to take?
Okay, I can start with second question. So the answer is yes, the political situation needed to change. So we can do some improvements. In our case, the mayor is architect, as we are, so it was maybe a little bit easier in this way because he understood our intentions. And yes, what else we did was we draw a few. First we removed these car parking, and then we draw some cycling lines in this. We put there some bike sharing, and so we try to support these like different kinds of transport. Also, the public transport is directly in this area, like comes directly tram line in this area. So my colleagues from mobility department worked a lot to make it in the most effective way.
And Should we hear Kelly, does this reply a bit to your question?
Yes, that's very helpful. I wondered if you did, I know with COVID it is difficult, but did you do outdoor events or arts or performances to bring people to show the value of reclaiming space?
So we didn't do what we wanted to do because like I said, we planned, huge meetings. We wanted to invite all local stakeholders to our workshops. And in these workshops, but it was actually part of this second phase, what is architectural competition right now. And we wanted to show all of these people but ideas of these invited architectural teams. But we couldn't because the meetings were forbidden. So we moved like the first part of this dialogue online, and we did a lot of videos on different topics of this area, because we also wanted to communicate some problems better with public, not only stakeholders in this area, but like wide public. Because sometimes a lot of people didn't understand why something is maybe more important than some other things. And by creating these videos on different topics like mobility, history, participation, and this kind of videos, we try to explain people the biggest problems we are dealing with in this area. So we didn't organize huge cultural meetings, but we did these videos. And also we could do one workshop, but it was only with a limited number of people.
Thanks a lot. So we are almost about the time we have to switch rooms. So I will take the last question from Kai.
Yeah, actually my questions were quite answered, I guess, because this would have been my question too, like the communication with the people and how to get the acceptance. Maybe this fits as well right here. Actually, I'm talking about the corporate mobility management later on, but I've been in charge here for the organization of the European Mobility Week in Aachen. And together with our colleagues, what we did is we closed down a whole area around the city's theater. And so this was exactly what Kelly was talking about. So what we did is, although we have the pandemic situation, we brought like the whole event for the whole week into the open space. And I think it's very, very important to give people like hands-on experiences on what an urban redevelopment may look like, and so we meshed it with aspects of mobility. So yeah, despite the current situation, was I think a pretty good approach for the people living in the city.
Yes, indeed. Thanks a lot, Kai. And so I am now restarting the presentation so that you can find the links to switch rooms. I see that there are colleagues already joining from the other one. So just give me a second until the presentation starts again. But in the meantime, I can say thanks a lot to Veronica and Amir and all of you for the question. As I mentioned at the beginning of the event, you have all the contact details in the e-publication. You can see also other stories from Szeged about how they did their public space reallocation also there. So I invite you to look through the e-publication to find all the experiences from the cities, and you have the contact details there if you want to get back to Veronica, to Emir, to Reka, and so on, so that you can keep the conversation going and ask your question, anyone that you might have, also as a follow-up of this event. Okay, the presentation is taking a while to charge, so I will post the links in the chat. In the meantime, so in the chat you have the links to the rooms, and in room 1 they will be discussing green mobility strategy with private companies. In room 2, so the room where you are now, if you stay with us, we will be discussing cycling as an active mode. And if you go in room 3, they will be discussing active modes with a special focus on safety and vulnerable road users. Kai, no, you are in room 2. Okay, he left the meeting. Good. So I repeat, you have the links in the chat. If you go in room 1, you will discuss green mobility strategy with private companies. In room 2, so the room where you are now, if you stay with us, we will discuss cycling active mode. And if you go in room 3, we will be discussing active modes and vulnerable road users with a focus on safety, elderly, and children. So I will give a few more minutes for all the people to decide their room. You are in room number 2, in which we will be discussing until 12:45 active modes, cycling as an active mode, with experiences from Helsinki, Sarajevo, and Bratislava. Please write in the chat if you have any question or would like any indication on the rooms. Okay, so, well, first of all, thank you everyone for joining this room for the second round. The PPT is slowly charging, but in the meantime, I would like to say hello again to our speakers for this room. So we have Janne from Helsinki. Are
Yes,
you
let me.
still with us?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I am
perfect.
here.
Okay, then Tomasz from Bratislava, are you in the room with us?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hi. Hello, Tomasz. Nice to see you here. And Emir, I suppose you are still in this room. I can see
yes,
you.
I'm here.
Perfect. Okay, so a few more. Oh, someone stopped. Okay. A few more seconds until you see the presentation on the screen is appearing now. So you made it to round 2, and we are now in room 2, and we will be talking about cycling as active mode. So again, welcome everyone. I think there are still a few people joining and switching rooms, but I think we can go ahead and start. And I would invite Tomasz to present. Tomasz, you can either take control of the presentation. Perfect, you did. Very important, don't click on stop sharing at the end. I will take back control. So welcome, and I give the floor to you to tell us everything we need to know about the white bikes in Bratislava.
All right, so I will present you about the community bike sharing, which was made as an utopistic project by a bunch of people around the community cycling center Bike Kitchen back in the 2014, because in those times municipality wasn't able to make any kind of bike sharing, so we made our own. Just to motivate you a little bit. And this is another motivational, because there is not enough of motivational pictures always, right? So the name of our white bicycles are going back in time to the Netherlands. Punky anarcho-artistic group called Provo, which made the very first bike sharing in the world. And it was called Witte Fietseplan, which means white bicycles in English. And on the left picture, you can see Yoko Ono and John Lennon with the white bike, because it was like really something that changed a lot, a view about cycling, a view about sharing economy, and it was the start of the usual buzzwords of these times, like circulation economy, etc., etc. So you probably know the picture with the hairpiece and bedpiece, but this is the whole picture, because usually people know just, just part of it, and this is like how it looked, and there is a white bicycle in the picture. So we made a system which is an open source system, and it's possible to get it on GitHub. It's for smaller cities, communities, cargo bike collectives, university campuses, companies, or military bases, which we have one, which is one using our bike sharing. These are the possibilities or the functionality. You can see it in the recording or in the presentation that will probably be uploaded. I don't want to go into technical details, but yeah, you can see it easily. And in 2014, we managed from the Dutch National Park, Veluwe, that they have like 1,800 of the same bicycles, and every year they are putting away some which are kind of a little bit broken, etc., etc. And we repaired them and put them in the street with the and repaired them. Yeah, I was really younger, 6 years ago, and all of my friends. And we repaired them. We put the 4-digit bike locks on the bicycles, which are changing every rental. That means that you are renting the bicycle with the mobile app or SMS, because we are really trying to be also kind of low in the technical stuff. So it's possible to use it also with only SMS, not as an admin, but as a user can use it only with SMS with some kind of command like rent bike number, and the user will receive the code what he needs to open it, and he will receive also a code that he needs to reset the lock and put there the new code. That means that it's kind of sustainable. This is we are using normal Bratislava bike racks, which are around the city, and we are stacking the bikes like this. This is the QR code, which is also possible to use for a rental. It's just very easy. And the white bicycle is also part of political view on the world. It was really utopistic project, and when I started with it, I thought that it will be just like 1 month in the streets will be the bikes, because it was in times when there was nobody in Bratislava which was parking the bikes during the night outside. And yeah, this was like my experiment, if we can survive with the bikes outside. And we survived till now. There are like 3 robbed bikes for 6 years, and some vandalized, like, I don't know, broken bells or whatever. And of course, normal service. Yeah, this is from the festival Pohoda, where which is like the biggest festival in Slovakia, where the stars and the artists are using our white bicycles when they are going around the festival. So yeah, there are like really famous people sitting on the same flotille. And this is a picture from the community wedding. We are using it also. Yeah, it was on some weddings of some bike people, and it's quite funny if you see 50 people going through the city on the same bikes. Like, yeah, we are working, but it's a free bike sharing, and everybody has to like take care about the bikes, and everybody, I mean, the community is repairing the bikes. And this is our biggest approach and biggest challenge, always to find the people which are really responsible and which wants to help the community to grow and make it better and better. Yeah, this is some facts. What are the operational costs? I will tell you that this system is run mostly by volunteers, and secondly by NGO. And there were some projects, but I would say only around 3,000 euros were invested from the project, and let's say 700 euros were invested every year from the NGO. So basically, it's very utopistic, free, run by the users, right? Yeah, these are some foreign. As I mentioned, that we made this system open source. There were a lot of people which were trying to make this system in their own cities. This is, for example, from the city of Zadar. The left picture is the kind of changing the system to work on the electronic locks, which is also possible. And yeah, this is the army, which is really funny that American army has some kind of base, and they are using our open source bike sharing, which is absolutely against my any kind of values to support any kind of army. But yeah, it's open source, so they really can use it. So yeah, they are using it in some army, and that's all. I just have to mention that right now I'm not very active in the community of white bicycles. I'm working at the municipality for last year as a cycling coordinator of Bratislava. Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot. Very, very nice presentation, and thank you for bringing us to the story of this community that was built around bikes. Again, you will find all the details in the e-publication. There is a storyline where you can click and learn all the steps that they went through. There is already one question in the chat. Do you have a picture of the wedding riding the bikes? If you do, please send it over. I will send it to Pierre. Okay, but in the meantime, we will have time for questions at the end of the 3 presentations, but I will invite Janne to tell us about cargo bike sharing in Helsinki.
Okay, thank you. I will push the take control, right?
Yes, you can take control. Just don't stop presenting at the end.
Okay, so first of all, my name is Janne Rinne. I work for the city City of Helsinki's innovation company, Forum Virium Helsinki, and we coordinate together with the city this mobility lab, which is difficult name for you, Jätkäsaari Mobility Lab. It's one neighborhood in central Helsinki. It used to be a logistics port, but now it's more for, it's a residential area and working places and a very busy passenger harbor. And we use this area to pilot different kind of mobility solutions. And in this presentation, I will briefly go to one cargo bike thing that we had it there in 2 years ago. Helsinki has a very popular
sorry, Janne, are you moving the slides? Okay, yes, now I can see that you took control. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I was saying that the city has very popular city bike system. The use rate is very high compared internationally, and we in this lab had a feedback from the residents that they would like to see cargo bike sharing in the area. And it was in a way resident idea that came from the residents. It was the idea that we also as a professionals had in mind, and then there was a possibility to do this. So we took initiative on this. So basically we had a small cargo bike sharing service in one neighborhood in Helsinki, in Jätkäsaari. And the idea, of course, was to provide an alternative to car use when you go to kindergarten, drop off kids to school, take groceries from the shop or whatever. And we don't want people using car for this kind of thing. So basically more attractive and sustainable mobility in the city. And well, this was one of the experiments that we call agile pilots, that we have open calls for different city challenges. And through those open calls, this one company proposed us this kind of cargo bike pilot, and we approved it. And the cost of this kind of pilots is typically close to maximum of 10,000 euros. And we can provide this small, let's say, compensation for trialing something to cover a bit of the cost to make it more appealing for the companies. And this, our part was done in summer season 2019 with a local company. And the service was that we had cargo bikes available for the people in Jätkäsaari. We had in this one area, which then had about 7,000 inhabitants. We had 6 bikes around the area. We had regular bikes and electric bikes. And we didn't have any physical docks, but we had geofenced locations for parking, and they were in a popular parts of parks and dense residential buildings, so they would be easily reached by the residents. The use was with smart locks and a mobile app. It required a registration from the user, and there was a sponsorship agreed with the local shopping mall that had taped their let's say names in the bikes, and they provided the first hour for free for users, which made it a lot more attractive as well. As I have only 5 minutes, I will jump into results. In this short pilot of 5 months, we had 500 registered residents, which is quite a lot in the area that actually had at that time 7,000 or 8,000 residents only. And out of those registered people, 200 people used the bikes. So basically they actually rode the bike. Some of the key feedback was that there was a lot of interest from the residents, and the feedback was 99% positive. It was seen as an appealing option for private cars, especially for these small, short trips in the neighborhood and close by. It was mostly used by young adults, which is not really a big surprise, but it got confirmed. And from A to B testing, we got the result that electricity significantly increased the attractiveness of the service. And as I said, we coordinated this pilot in 2019, and it received a follow-up, not with us, but with the Helsinki City Transport, which is the organization managing public transport in Helsinki. So they wanted to fund a follow-up pilot based on the experiences and learnings from our pilot. So they had a different parking model. They made a zone, like a corridor where you could park in a more flexible way, which made it more attractive for the people. They had more bikes. I think they had 8 or 10 bikes in the area. Everything was electric. And as a result of this development, they managed to double the use rate compared with the first pilot that we started out of nothing. And also the user experience was a lot better because many things had been iteratively developed along the way. This pilot was done this summer, and it was also about half a year, from May to November. Yeah, I think that's in short. They have a page. It's mostly in Finnish because it's for the it's in Helsinki, Finland, and also there's a bit of info about that on the website of our mobility lab. I think these
and
are
obviously in our e-publication as well.
Yeah. That's obvious that it's also highlighted in the publication, and in the publication you have my contact details if you want to share experiences. And the final word about this case is that I just very recently talked with this guy who was running the service with his company, and he was really interested to hear some experiences from other cities if there are cargo bike sharing stuff going on, because he obviously wants to develop his business and make it permanent thing in Helsinki, and also at some point probably go international.
We have a new project at Eurocities that just started in September. It's also a CIVITAS project. It's called ULATS. I will write it in the chat. Urban logistics as an on-demand service, and it has a strong focus on cargo bike, and we will be testing and do pilots in 3 cities, in Bremen, Groningen and Mechelen. So I invite you to follow the project, and I will send you all the details, so maybe we can stay in touch on the cargo bike topic. Yeah, and obviously, if there is anyone else in the room that has experiences with cargo bike sharing, we can discuss in the discussion round. I see there are questions going on in the chat, but I will take them once we are done with the presentation. Thanks a lot, Janne. Thanks. And I will now move to Emir to tell us a bit more about the cycling infrastructure improvement that they are carrying out in Sarajevo.
Okay, I will take the control.
So Emir, you can take the control. Please go ahead. Perfect.
Okay, because this is my second presentation, but I must repeat some things on the beginning. Hello, I'm from Sarajevo. My name is Emir Hota. I work for Ministry of Traffic of Sarajevo Canton. Sarajevo is the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and it's a region with surrounding area of just under 500,000 inhabitants. It is smallest canton in entity of the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, but the most densely populated canton. Canton is divided in 9 municipalities, and the 4 of them, it's the city of Sarajevo. In 2020, Canton of Sarajevo and City of Sarajevo adopt their first urban mobility plan, SAMP. Our SAMP have 5 strategic pillars. For us, one of very important part is walking and cycling. Among the targeted indicator is increase in the number of publicly available means of non-motorized movement by 200% compared to situation recorded in 2019. According to spatial planning documentation, the bicycle paths are mapped in detail. Here we can also see a map of availability and accessibility of cycling as a transport to school and college in Sarajevo area. One project which we are proud, it's implementation of construction of bicycle path in a area of approximately 14 kilometer bicycle lane. Construction of the bicycle paths was carried out in accordance with European standards with vertical and horizontal traffic signals. The popularization of the cycling in our city is currently reflected in the growing number of the cyclists who use this means of transport not only recreationally, but also for transport purpose. This is our last project. We are built covered bicycle parks in the 9 locations in the city. We also have another project about improvement in the cycling infrastructure, bicycle racks and a locker for storing bicycle equipment in the school and university and similar project. Sharing bike project, e-scooter project, and rent-a-bike project are developed through private initiative. We are also implemented a project of marking of signalization for 150 kilometers of mountain bike trails and mapping 600 kilometers of cycling trails that will connect the Olympic mountains, Bielašnica, Igman, Jahorina, and Trebević. And that's all. And I hope so that very soon we will have opportunity to present this and many other important projects for urban mobility to other cities. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Emir. Thank you. So we now have a bit of time to take some of the questions in the chat. I think Thomas, you already replied to the first one, so I will take the question for Janne. Are there plans to scale up the cargo bike shared system in Finland, in other locations?
Yeah, thanks for the question. For what I've known, they are not going to scale up in Finland, but what they are planning after this season in Helsinki is that they try to develop their business model so that they would make it commercially viable in a way that you would have this kind of the use fees and possibly the sponsorship, and also if this cargo bikes could be included in the bike sharing or the city bike system in Helsinki. There's nothing concrete yet, and I know that the interest of having shared cargo bikes in Helsinki, but the details, if this would happen, it's not very no concrete things yet. There are these, let's say, season that they have procured the city bike system for a certain time, and before that it's quite difficult to introduce cargo bikes in that. But obviously it's something that is hopefully widened in Helsinki at some point. Of course, dependent on this plans and feasibility of that they draw out of these pilots.
Thanks a lot. And there is also a question from Julia asking, actually 3 questions. So first one is, how did you manage the booking of the cargo bikes? And then questions regarding regulation on parking, and if you experience any cases of stolen or damaged cargo bikes. And I mean, I am particularly interested as well on, you mentioned the geofenced system for the cargo bikes. And yeah, I would be very curious to know how that worked, because I know from other experiences in other cities that the parking part of shared cargo bikes is one of the most challenging one.
Yeah. Okay. I try to be brief. Well, for the booking, it's the online, the mobile app where you would see where the bikes are and if they are free, let's say, available for use at that moment. So you couldn't really book them beforehand. You just check if something is available and you take it if it's close enough. For the permits, this was so small scale pilot that we didn't apply for any specific permits for this. We informed city that we will start this kind of thing and discussed with the people in the built environment unit, and they understood that it's not blocking or making the environment difficult or so straightforward. We informed them and we just put them there because there were no physical docks. And the last thing was the vandalism. Yes, we did have a bit of vandalism, but nothing serious or too regular to really, let's say, kill the pilot. We had this concern, and especially the entrepreneur had this concern, but luckily it was nothing. It was 1 or 2 occasions where something was really broken and that got easily fixed. I think more of a problem was that people were not really, didn't have training for cargo bikes, and they drove it in that way that sometimes you had flat tires or other things that were broken. They tried to leave with the locked and broke the tires, so it was unintentional damage more.
Yes, indeed. Okay, thanks a lot. And still from Julia to Emir, question on the current share of cyclists in Sarajevo. So what is the share of cycling in the modal split, and what are your plans to boost cycling and to further increase the share? And then there is a follow-up question on what role does perceived traffic security play for cyclists when they share roads with car? This is a very hard question. So let's start with the share, and how are you planning to raise the number of people cycling in Sarajevo, Emir?
Yes, in this moment, this share is very low. I think 0. I don't know. Have some estimation that we have 8,000 bicycles, but mostly use it in a recreational purpose, you know. And we are now implement a lot of project in which we are construct the infrastructure, and also we are promote using of the bicycle and other non-motorized mode of transport. And we are have very specific situation because we are have 4 months very strong winter season. Also, we are have a lot of hills around, and you know, we are have one part of the city which is which we can use bicycle very easy, and in that part we are try to promote using of bicycle. Also, we can use we are have you can see in my presentation we are have mountain biking also, but that's all for recreational purpose. And traffic security is very important. And in our SAMP, we are have a plan of the measure which we are prepared, and we are hope so that we will succeed to change a way of thinking of our people in our city. And I don't know, we are see that have a lot of pollution in our city, and I think that that will help us to promote other mode of transport which people can use without pollution. And that's all for my answer. If you need additional, I can answer it what you want.
Thanks a lot, Samir. So there is a question from Pierre, back to cargo bikes. Do you have experiences to connect cargo bikes with last mile logistic concepts, for example, local logistic hubs? I posted the link in the chat, which is also regarding the project that I was mentioned earlier, where you can see some pilots on containerized last mile delivery based on cargo bikes deliveries. It's a pilot developed by a project partner called Rital. So they are doing pilots also in other city on last mile containerized cargo bike deliveries. But I don't know, Janne, if you are experimenting with that in Helsinki, or also from anyone else in the room with us, if you have other experience on last mile delivery with cargo bikes.
Yeah, I can maybe very briefly. We had this similar kind of small pilot where it was exactly the logistics done with the cargo bike pilot in the same neighborhood, and delivering from one electronics shop things in the Helsinki center with the cargo bike. And there have been, well, the logistic companies have done their own pilots without our cooperation as well. So I think that's already going in a way in a market-driven direction in many ways.
Yes, and it will be probably one important point to reinforce stakeholder cooperation with the companies, so that we ensure that the cargo bike race is done in a proper way in terms of urban planning. And that's one of the things we are trying to do with the project, in which we combine the race of all these new methods with implementing it with a SALP, or so a sustainable urban logistic plan, or in the city SAMP. So yes, many more things to come on cargo bikes and the cargo bike revolution. And there is a question for everybody: how has the pandemic influenced the city citizen acceptance of bikes mobility in your city? So for anyone really in the room, if we want to use this last 5-10 minutes to share experiences, if you have seen an increase since the start of the COVID crisis, if you saw it in the first phase, but now it's going back down, anything that you want to share on this point, it would be just raise your hand and take the floor. Thomas, please go ahead.
All right. So yeah, the increase was especially during the first wave quite big. Actually, we had Bratislava was the city with the first whole lockdown probably in the Europe in the first way, and we did a great job, or the municipality. So the increase was, but it was mostly the recreational usage of bicycles. And there was a big decrease of the public transport, because public transport is a place where people don't want to meet each other with the COVID situation. So there was a big decrease in the public transport, big increase in the bicycles, but also tons of people stayed at home because of the teleworking, which they discovered America right now, right? I mean, teleworking is here for 15 years, and the companies realized it right now. And so I would say there is a 50% increase, or maybe 40% increase with the normal commuters, and a huge increase of the recreational cyclists, because if you are in Slovakia, if you are a cyclist, you don't need to wear a mask on the recreational cycling. And there was also ban to go from, not from the city to city, but from the wider area, like Bratislava region. You cannot, you could not go to another region, or there was some kind of this. It wasn't like super strict, so you could, but people were really behaving nice, I think so. So they were cycling all around Bratislava region. So I would say this.
Thanks a lot, Tomasz. Great to hear your experience. I see Laszlo, you unmuted yourself. Was that? Did you want to take the floor?
No, that is all clear. Thank you. I just wanted to congratulate all the initiatives, in fact, and
okay, we cannot hear you very well. You are very, very far away.
No, I can increase the volume of the microphone if that's better. So no, I just wanted to congratulate all the initiatives. I was wondering if in our city, which has roughly a population of 200,000, if such sharing could be introduced as well, because in the past 3 or 4 couple of years, all studies and initiatives showed that this would definitely be a substantial investment, which doesn't really have a return in financial terms, but would have to be considered rather as a service, as an additional service that the city supports or provides for the citizens.
So you mean maybe introducing the white bike system in Debrecen?
That could be something, yes, as something we really haven't had a look at until now, and could be a possibility, yes. So it was very interesting to hear.
Please get in touch with me. I am very happy to facilitate the contact with Tomasz, and we can. Yeah, this is exactly the purpose of the peer-to-peer exchange, to see and get inspired and think, oh wow, that could actually open doors in, and I could maybe potentially look into it. So thanks a lot, Laszlo. And I see Tomasz already posted all the open source information in the chat. But yes, please, let's follow up on this. And indeed, that's the spirit of today. So thanks, Laszlo, and everybody. I see there is a comment for me in the chat. It's how much, are you asking how much does the RITAL cost?
Yes.
Yeah, that's I don't know, because it's still a pilot and it's financed by the European Union. So I don't know if they did a discount for that, but I can put you in touch and we can check and find the answer. I wouldn't know any amount to say it on the spot, but I can let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we are about to reach. Okay, Julia from Aachen said that RITAL is quite expensive. Thanks, Julia. They are testing it in Bremen, so in Germany as well. Okay, but we can follow up on it, and I've seen also other system for containerized last mile deliveries, so maybe I can also follow up with more information on that. So I think we are reaching the moment to go back in plenary and wrap up this breakout room. Anyone with a final question before we move back, or a comment? This is your chance. If not, I will ask you if you would be interested to do this again next year. It would be great to hear your feedback on the sessions, and let me know, because with the Mobility Forum in Eurocities, we can organize and facilitate this type of exchange. So if you liked it and you would like to propose themes or topics that you would like us to exchange on, send me an email and we will see what we can do in 2021. But for now, I ask you all to, you know the drill by now, click the link to go back into the plenary, and I will see you there while we will be together with the other participants from the other breakout rooms. So please click the link on the slide. I will also post it in the chat. And thanks a lot to all the speakers and everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Same here.
I am posting it in the chat. Okay. I will see you back in the plenary. Please click either on the chat or in the slide, and I will meet you there.